They say Black Americans, who are actually the indigenous Americans who were enslaved on their own land here in America, came here by ship. But the truth is, it was Europeans who flooded this land by the boatloads. Ship after ship, wave after wave, they poured into the Americas, not enslaved, but seeking land, freedom, and fortune. By the 1700s, tens of thousands of settlers from Ireland, Scotland, and Germany crossed the Atlantic. Philadelphia became the largest port of entry, followed by Baltimore, Charleston, and Boston. They came for farmland, religious freedom, and new beginnings, entire families stepping onto land already inhabited by indigenous nations. But while newcomers were building new lives, indigenous Americans, the original people of this soil, were being erased on paper. Laws and census rolls worked hand in hand to bury their identities under new racial categories. Children documented as Indian in one generation were suddenly labeled mulatto or colored in the next. In just a few decades, millions of indigenous bloodlines were hidden in plain sight. The 19th and early 20th centuries brought an even greater surge. Between 1892 and 1954, more than 12 million Europeans, Italians, Polish, Russians, Greeks, Germans, Jews, and others passed through Ellis Island alone. Other ports like Galveston, Boston, and New Orleans received thousands more.
Most of immigrants flock in, 1 million a year. They come in teeming steerages from Italy, Russia, Central Europe, hoping for a better life and dreaming that America's streets are paved with gold. They will
They boarded in many parts of Europe and in many kinds of vessels, most to New York and some to other ports. But they had one thing in common. They were traveling steerage, and the steamship companies understood the profit in numbers.
By 1900, over 30 million Europeans had entered the Americas. They came freely by the millions, reshaping the population and rewriting the demographic story of this land. But as ships unloaded their passengers, another story was being buried. The people already here were being renamed, reclassified, and pushed out of history. This history matters because it changes everything about how we understand identity in America. If we only believe that so-called Black Americans came here solely as Africans in chains, although they were on this land long before any European or African set foot here, we accept the lie that they have no ancestral claim to this land. But the records, the reclassifications, and the lived history tell a different story. Europeans came here by the boatloads. They brought disease, famine, and policies that erased entire nations. Meanwhile, the people of this land were shipped out, renamed, and written out of their own story. The truth is clear. So-called Black Americans are not foreigners. They are the home itself. So, the next time a European tells any of us to go back to Africa, just remember this. We were already here, and we are still here. But think about where your ancestors came from.
Cap, this is them right there. What you call Ellis Island. When they told you that the slave ship, they know what they were saying. Okay, those slave ship is real now. And they trying to make it seem as you, but it said exactly what it is. Slave ship, that means the Slav ships. Simple, that's them right there fleeing. This is when the empire fall. Okay? After the empire fall, they bring close to 30 millions of them. They come here to Ellis Island and so many other places. This is what they're not telling you. Now ask themselves, show us one boat that was taking our people from Africa. They could not show you shit. I mean, you know they are good to so-called preserve or so-called taking shit to put in museum and stuff like that. Why we don't have a boat that was transporting our people in some sort of museum all over? We couldn't find a goddamn boat, folks. But we have their boat, though. It's there. Show me a picture of our people coming here like that. Nah, you won't. Oh, no, you won't. You won't. You won't. Okay? They not going to be able to do that. They can't do that. Because it was never that. That's what you call taking their shit and flip it and smack it on you. They literally take their shit and give it to you. When you all, so like I said before, how the hell a slave know how to do better than the masters? Then none of it makes sense. Absolutely none of them make sense. Because all of it should be you. You should be the one doing these things, not the slaves. That's what they're not telling you. You should be the emperor. You should be the queen or the empress. All of it should be you. What are you doing? That should be you, dog. You're the one in charge, right? Absolutely none of that. Now let me show you George Washington Francis in a different angle.
all 13 colonies. This is going to blow y'all away. I'm telling you, this is going to rock the world. Okay? All 13 colonies had rich black people in those colonies, rich black people, families, wealthy black families in all 13 colonies, and they all owned slaves, white slaves, not black ones, white ones. Yes, it was indentured servitude, okay? But they lived on the black man's farm and they worked for the black man. And the only difference between slave, it don't matter, you're still a slave as long as you don't, you can be a slave either way, but you're still a slave. But the point that 13 out of 13 colonies, all 13 colonies had black people own white slaves. Sure did. And they worked for them. Imagine that. Guess, when the Civil War was over with, the black rich, like Robert Johnson and that black woman in Louisiana that had all those slaves. Yeah, she had over about, I forget how many slaves she had, about 400 or 500.
Return of the Ancient Ones.
I'm telling y'all, man, they've lied to us about everything, my brother. And I'm not mad at the black man for this. You know who I know I'm blaming this on? The devil and evil people. Because it never bothered me. I don't care about color. But the fact that 13 colonies, out of all 13 colonies, there were rich people, black people in every one of those colonies that owned blacks and white slaves. I told y'all, we've been lied to. They want you and I to kill each other so they can control the country and dumb us down in school so we don't never learn our history. You know why we don't know anything about it? Because they hid it from us. Our politicians, the left, right. Can you imagine all the black backlashes fixing to come from this? They've lied to us about everything, black and white. Satan is the prince of the power of the air. And remember, the love of money is the root to all evil. Remember, mammon? Yeah, all the rich blue blades, I know who they were. They were blue blades. They were the rich merchants that come over here and settled, or they were already here, because there was a lot of black rich families in this country in the 1500s. So it was. And most of you chief and Indians were black people, or black color. I don't know what tribe, but they were blacks. They looked just like them. But they were Indians, so-called. And all the Indians had white slaves. The blacks had white slaves. The white man deserves an apology, don't you think, in the South? Because I'm fixing to pray about it. Amen?
Before you get into the shrine, you must be a Freemason? A Freemason. That means you have to be a free man, right? Free from, free to. Huh? See, this is already assuming that everybody that wants to join was a slave. And if that's true, then how the Caucasians end up effing AM? Who freed them? The fact is that they were slaves, because the actual word slave, as you know, means Slavic. And they were slaves to the Moors in Morocco and in Spain. You understand? And they were slaves to the Moors in Ireland and Scotland and Yorkshire in England, where you'll find crests to this very day with pictures of Moors on the family crest of all of those countries. Africans up there, Moors. You hear me? So a Moor cannot be freed because a Moor was never a slave. You have to understand that there was a treaty made between George Washington and Sidi Muhammad of Morocco when America was losing the battle, for us to bring in ships from Morocco and to surround America and protect the shore. You can look this up. And you know what happened? Boats of Negroes came. You know what I'm saying? George Washington was surprised because they had already had Africans in slavery. And the men that came to protect America were Negroes called Morenos. There's no Arabic word for Moor.
Bro, I had a major brain alert. Major. Check this shit out. Can somebody please explain why there are so many photos of white people coming in on boats? Specifically, coming here to America on boats. Coming here to America on boats in the 1800s. But I can't find no photos of so-called black people coming here on boats to America. Because according to their history, the last slave ship came here in 1858. Now here's where it get real interesting for me. So my 4 times great-grandmother, Delia Corsi, born around 1820, has an actual photo. And she still look young. So I'm guessing maybe this is 1845, maybe 1850. Where the boat?
So y'all don't see what's going on. We got books showing us that these folks come across the Bering Straits, and now we got pictures showing that they arrived on the boat with the demons. Then they come with the white man to this land. Dude, the photos showing us. I see demons. I see shadow, all kinds of shadow people. You know what I'm saying, man? If you really zoom into the picture and really look, I done posted it also. But y'all, look what we dealing with, man. Y'all, we already was in these lands, and they trying to manipulate us with all kind of things. You know what I'm saying? But now we understand what's going on. And the thing about it, though, we old enough now to know what's going on. You got to understand the message. You got to understand what we dealing with, y'all. We dealing with identity theft, as they promote on the TVs. But see, like, we don't want to stand on these 10 toes and these 2 feet and stand up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we might lose some friends, we might lose some things, we might, you know, so we might get blackballed or whatever, but whatever. Let us be us. But y'all, we got to know who we are as a people. For one thing, the Most High said we're on a path for lack of knowledge. And we see that, and then also he said we lowers ourselves. Then he said we stiff-necked people. I backed up on the map, the things to show y'all that map. I'm gonna go live in 1 minute, and we're gonna talk about this map also. But y'all, with this picture here, we're gonna talk about this too. But it's so much, y'all. It's so much we got going on, and that we got to understand what we're dealing with, y'all. Right now today. Let's go. Understand the message, people.
Okay, so I got the transcripts. Mitch, we have to bring slavery back. Those were the good old days. Kevin, how will we do that? There's no way we can do that. Mitch, black people won't do it, but white people will. Kevin, how will we get white people to be slaves? That sounds ridiculous. Mitch, we have to get rid of the separation of church and state. We must have state-funded religious schools. Kevin, I don't see where you're getting at. Mitch, those schools will have work programs for 4th through 8th graders. Kevin, I think I see where you're going here. How is that going to work? Mitch, we get the kids to pick all the produce as a part of their work program to teach them the values of good old-fashioned blue-collar labor and the bounty of God. Kevin, I don't think that anyone will go for that. Mitch, it's all about grooming. Start in the 1st grade, and by 4th grade, they'll be ready to do it. Kevin, but we already have people to pick the produce. Mitch, we have to finish the wall. Kevin, no way that's going to happen. Mitch, we find better ways to get the immigrants out of the United States. Kevin, like doubling ICE. Mitch, yes. Kevin, this will be too hard, and we'll be too busy trying to sustain this over long periods of time and generations. Mitch, no, we get rid of the abortion laws in the United States and we make it mandatory that all 8th grade females be impregnated in order to graduate. Kevin, like replacing the crops. Ha ha ha, pun intended. Also, Kevin, I will work on getting the abortion banned. You work on state-funded religious schools. Mitch, we don't have to do either. Lindsay and I took care of that with the new SCOTUS.
Donald Trump has just announced reparations for white people, for white boys and men. He thinks that our education system is catering too much to girls and people of color. He wants the Department of Justice to go after our schools and universities and take money from them because he doesn't think they're catering enough to white men and boys. In what area? Does he think they're not giving them enough money for men's sports and boys' sports, for scholarships, for their clubs, for their interests? Historically, women, girls, and people of color have been discriminated against in our schools and universities. And now he wants to highlight the boys and the men even more. MAGA women, you can't actually believe this, right? You don't actually think this is good for your daughters, right? That he's going to go after the school system because somehow they've catered too much to the girls. Good luck with that.